Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to Coco Chats with me, your host, Marian Dozier of CocoWire.net, the website that provides news, events, and useful information to communities of color in Palm Beach County. That's CocoWire.net if you want to know what's happening here with us in Palm Beach County. And as we do on this show and on CocoWire.net, we will continue to tell the stories of our communities of the African diaspora, which, as you are aware, I'm sure, are African Americans, Caribbean, Blacks, and Native Africans, so that we all get a better sense of how rich and interesting our communities are, especially today. That's because today's guest, Brian Knowles, can easily be seen as the king of the African diaspora, especially when it comes to education. That's because Brian Knowles is the manager of the School District of Palm Beach County's Office of, and listen to this, ladies and gentlemen, the Office of African, African American, Latino, Holocaust, and Gender Studies. Wow, a lot. So Mr. Knowles has been an educator for nearly 15 years and came to lead this office in 2016. The office was actually created about 3 decades ago with 2 major focuses: providing best teaching practices to ensure students of color achieve, and the development of a culturally responsive curriculum. Its goal, bottom line, is to ensure that Black kids learn and learn about who they are. Each summer, the office hosts the African and African American Studies Summer Institutes in June, and beginning last month, is now doing monthly virtual discussions about the African diaspora. The African and African American Studies Summer Institutes will be held June 15th through 17th this year, virtually, of course, with lots of interesting guests. The next talk in the monthly virtual series will be held at 6 p.m. on December 17th via Facebook. And this month's topic, Unpacking Common Myths and Misperceptions. The discussion will be led by Dr. Deborah Robinson, School District Representative for District 7. So if you want to go, visit facebook.com/PBCCBSA and sign up to attend. It is free and open to the public. And the event focus, as Mr. Knowles has said, is, and I quote, telling the truth about our actual history. It didn't start with slavery, end quote. Brian Knowles, the king of the African diaspora. Woo!
Well,
Thanks for joining us on Coco Chats. And thank you so much for what you do for all of us, really.
No, I appreciate it, and it's an honor to be here. I'm just humble to be here. As far as the king of the African diaspora, I stand on the shoulder. There's so much greatness before me. In addition to, I operate in the spirit of Afrocentrism, and I work as a collective with the people. So I don't want to put myself above the people. But most importantly, people like Debbie Range, Margaret Newton, Myra Levy Bazemore, Dr. Deborah Robinson, and the prayers that my mom sent out for me, I stand on the shoulders of them. So.
Wow. Okay.
Wear your crown. Wear your crown. That's your crown. Wear your crown. Those are the jewels in your crown. Wear them.
All right. So define for us, Mr. Knowles, what the African diaspora is from where you sit as an educator.
The African diaspora is the movement or scattering of African people throughout the world. The common narrative that was the major impetus of the African diaspora, most people, the common narrative is the transatlantic slave trade. But if we start digging deeper into our history, we understand that first of all, when we say Black people are not only indigenous to the African continent, Black people are indigenous to the entire planet Earth.
And that's what I always would tell my daughter is we're not minorities.
No.
When you look at the world, we're the majority. But anyway, go ahead, sir.
Yeah. So, when we say African diaspora, sometimes we relegate Black people to just one particular space, but understanding that we have cultures, we have so much diversity internationally. You think from our immediate history, coming from the African continent, through the transatlantic slave trade, we got to look at just the rich, diverse heritage that we have throughout the Caribbean, throughout Latin America, South America, and North America as well.
Around the world.
And internationally, we have a huge presence in the European continent. We have a presence that we really don't speak about even in the Asian continent as well. And throughout the South Pacific, you have people of African descent. So the African diaspora is such a complex, dynamic story in history that our children should be able to get access to. And that not only our children, because we must unpack that myth that Black history is only just done to benefit Black people. It's something that benefits all people, because we all been sold the same lie and illusion.
And that's something I'm going to ask you about too. But tell me, what interests you specifically about the diaspora? Is it because you're a man of color, or because some of us aren't that interested in it?
Some of us aren't, and that's one of the challenges that my team and we deal with in our work. What just always intrigued me is just having a little bit, when I just got a little glimpse of just some of the lies that I was being taught at school, I would just kind of took off. I became obsessed with it. I probably can't start getting access to just this whole different narrative around the age of 12 or 13 about what our true history is when I was around middle school or so. And it wasn't through school. It was crazy. Actually, it was through rap music and hip hop.
Wow.
I was hearing some of the different things that some of the rappers from up north, from New York, was saying when they started making references, like calling each other God in their music. And then I started getting access to like the 5% Nation and Clarence 13X and some of these teachings. Then that just kind of opened up just the door. They're like, okay, there's something that somebody keeping from me. And you just couldn't stop me from that point of just learning about myself and my people. And I've just always felt that it was something inside of me that the Creator wanted to use me to advocate on the behalf of my people. So.
And I'm glad you said that it started then, because very recently, I'm an educator also.
Absolutely. Okay.
And very recently, doing a reading program in the school, one of the segments that text that the students had to read talked about this young lady who had to go to blacks only hospital and a black drink at a blacks only. And I had to stop her right there and tell her, wait a minute, that's misinformation, because it wasn't blacks only, it was whites only, and it was colors, and everybody else who was not black could not go to the whites only. And we sort of perpetuate that information that it's only black people that experience this Holocaust during Jim Crow. And it was everybody who was non-whites. And that's, which puts our children, I know when I was listening to it when I was in school, it made me feel bad about myself. And when black kids and white kids and Hispanic kids are sitting in the same room together, and Asian kids, and we find out they perpetuate as though it's only black kids or black people were treated that way, it's total misinformation. And, we really need to look at what we're telling what we're teaching the kids in the classroom. Absolutely.
You got to remember also what we're perpetuating and teaching in the classroom is part of the structural design to keep things the way they are. You got to remember that. So, as people like us, and just this information that we're sharing in these discussions that need to happen, so we can start to dismantle some of that stuff, so we can change the status quo.
Right.
So give people a sense of what it is that you do every day, because you're not in the classroom, right?
No, I'm not in the classroom. Nope.
Yeah, give people a sense of what you're doing and how that makes change.
So I work at district headquarters, so I pretty much what I do is I lead a team of people, of curriculum developers. So what we do is that we provide curriculum for several courses, which are elective courses that teach about African diaspora, also Latino, Hispanic studies, and Holocaust studies. In addition to, we work with teachers and principals and all district personnel, matter of fact, around instructional strategies and the best teaching approach and just the dispositional shift that it takes to teaching students of color. So making sure that we have a diverse and inclusive not only curriculum, but also the way that we approach the curriculum as well. So we do professional development, so are also called workshops for our teachers, in addition to all of the resources that the teachers use, instructional resources, we provide it to those teachers. In addition to that, we work in a lot of equity. So I've worked with policy throughout the school district to make sure that we dismantle some of those racist structures within our very own school system. In addition to just all around, just making sure that this is not only that our histories and our culture is not only represented in elective courses, but we try to make sure that this is included in all courses. Even a math class, there's ways to interject and reflect our history and our culture, even in math problems, in science courses, and English language arts, etc.
So y'all's target audience in your office are teachers, not students.
It's to build capacity with our teachers.
Right. So that they pass down information. So who vets the general curriculum for correct, how should I say, political correctness? To ensure political correctness.
That's us.
Okay.
Primarily myself and my team. We're the ones who vet it.
So when I see a story like I saw, and the information is there, the story might be mostly accurate, right? But that 10% part that's not accurate, that's impactful.
Oh, yeah.
That's highly impactful, because that
huge.
10% is where the kids are thinking, oh, it's only black people are subjected themselves to this, that we're subjected to this. What should an educator do? Because the support teacher that's showing that, I had to pause and tell her, listen, so share this with the kids, let them know this, and this. What should they do when they come across content like that?
They can definitely reach out to us, to vet those resources. We have individuals, teachers that reach out to us all the time through email or even phone conversations about things that they may not be comfortable with. But our biggest drive is to build that capacity with those teachers, because they can identify those things, so they can start thinking outside of the normal parameters. So we want those teachers to be able to be those experts. So we want to develop and build experts with our teachers and our educators around those topics, so they don't have to go to somebody else to identify that, hey, something's wrong with this story. But if they follow us and listen to what we're saying in our workshops, and listening to what we're offering, that they can start to develop a mindset around looking for some of those inaccuracies in the things that they're teaching before they teach it, and they pass that down to our kids.
Mm-hmm.
So were you ever an actual teacher in the
Absolutely.
classroom?
Absolutely.
What was your
I taught
subject matter?
10 years in social studies. I literally taught everything within social studies, from econ to American government, African American history, Holocaust history, world history, civics, you name it. And I've taught at 3 different schools. I actually started my career at Palm Beach Lakes High School.
Oh.
Then I taught in the Glades for a couple of years at Pahokee Middle High School. Then my last teaching assignment was at Riviera Beach Preparatory, which is an alternative school right off of Blue Heron and Guard Road.
And so it sounds like you made it clear from the beginning that your interest has always been
It's my people.
in us.
That's my people.
So what where are you? What's your ethnic background then, Mr. Light Skin?
You have to put the man out there like that.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay. Be proud of your shade.
I'm African American. My mother's side of the family is actually 7th generation Palm Beach County. I'm actually a descendant of the first permanent resident of Palm Beach County, black resident of Palm Beach County, Millie Gildersleeve.
Oh,
so
who is from?
She's from Georgia originally.
Oh, okay.
All right, she's from southern Georgia. So my family's been in Palm Beach County since the 19th century. All right, since the 1800s. My dad's side of the family, they're Bahamian.
Oh.
So.
And I don't know if I could say this as an African American, but it just seems like you Caribbeans are always y'all
He's American,
shine.
right? He's American.
Well, but part of him is Caribbean though, and it just I don't know. Maybe
I can break it down for you now. The intellects were dropped off in the Caribbean, and then the brawn was brought to America.
Oh my God!
I'm just saying.
But Caribbean folks have a huge impact in development of our history. When you start looking at civil rights figures, from Malcolm X's mother to Stokely Carmichael,
Marcus
Garvey, the list goes on. Shirley Chisholm, have
Louis Farrakhan.
Louis Farrakhan is Jamaican.
Yeah.
Sidney
Poitier.
We can keep the list goes on. Shirley Chisholm and W.E.B. Du Bois. Parents.
But is that because the Caribbeans come from like really strong tribes in Africa, whereas us here in Africa,
I think we come from the same tribe.
Broken down ones that
No. Y'all would have brawn. Y'all could handle the extra couple hours on the ship.
But we're from different tribes though, right?
In some cases, but we're the same people to an extent. Mm-hmm. So what happens is it's a little bit more complicated than that. I think with the Caribbean, first of all, and enslaved Africans in the Caribbean were brought into the Caribbean where they were the majority. All right, so they were never a minority like we were here in North America. Yeah. In addition to, you got to understand that, for example, you look at the British Commonwealth or the British colonies, where they eliminated slavery in 1830s. where then after that, they didn't have to deal with systems of Jim Crow. They still dealt with colonialism to an extent, but they didn't have to deal with those stringent laws. Our country was so stubborn about letting go of slavery that we had to go to war for it. Where you got in the British colonies from 1831, 1832, they had eliminated it by then. So, them, and there's so much complicated history, even when you talk about the slavery in the Caribbean. Insurrections and rebellions were way more frequent in the Caribbean because of just the sheer numbers of black people.
And I thought it was because of the tribe that they came from. That these were just like really strong.
Just
numbers.
And then we come here also.
Makes,
we come here with a purpose. We come. When we land in America, we have a purpose. There's a definite. The parents say, "Okay, we're going because we want you to go to college and we want you to do this." So there's a purpose.
In addition to just some of the psychological damage that black people of the diaspora suffer here, was not the same in Jamaica, Trinidad, and the Caribbean, because you didn't have that Jim Crow that stood over you and a constant reminder. Yes, the colonial system was very present in the Caribbean, but remember, you were all free from slavery, and plus, even during slavery, the sheer numbers, you're just the basic logistics. Like, for example, you take Haiti, when African slaves outnumbered whites in comparison to what happened in North America, where it really wasn't as many. The entire slave trade itself, 94% of Africans that were brought here were brought to the Caribbean and South America.
Really?
Only a small percentage made it to North America.
I didn't know that.
So our numbers were just huge.
Yeah.
So we outnumbered. So just common sense is like, we gonna fight these white folks back, and it happened a lot.
Jamaicans did with them machetes.
And Jamaicans still don't be playing that.
Bookman and Toussaint
Dante Bookman, who spearheaded the Haitian Revolution. Was Jamaican.
It was a Jamaican that spearheaded the Haitian.
Jamaican.
Really? Well, and speaking of Haiti, I wanted to ask you about this too. Apparently, there is a class within the school district that's about the history of Haiti.
Yes, I've created like 5 courses since I've been in my position. Wrote them, authored them, sent it up to the Department of Education, so they're available throughout any middle or high school and throughout the entire state. And one of those is the history of Haiti in a global context.
But why Haiti? Why not Jamaica or,
I have another course which has a lot of history of the Caribbean and Jamaican history called A Great Men and Women of Color Who Shaped World History, but back to Haiti. Because when you say Haiti, you can't really talk about the history of African diaspora in the Western Hemisphere without really highlighting Haiti.
Yeah.
The first free black republic in the Western Hemisphere, 1804, the Haitian Revolution.
That's interesting to me.
The Haitian Revolution, 1791. You're talking about an interesting history, and just even after that, there's so much. We all know that in all of our histories, there's stuff that's left out. When you talk about Haitian, Haitian Revolution, the first free black republic. Then we fast forward into the 20th century. You're talking about the Tuskegee Airmen. 5 of them were Haitian. But we don't talk about that. Even during the American Revolution, for example, the Battle of Savannah in the American Revolution, it was Haitians who helped us in the American Revolution. Yeah, it was Haitian troops. Yep.
And speaking of creating these classes, I read about one, I guess that y'all are trying to have created now with the Florida Department of Education, called Prejudice and Power.
Prejudice and Power.
A discourse on race and ethnicity in the United States.
Absolutely.
Is that a class? Did you write that?
Myself
did you create that?
And one of the teachers named Jim Reen. He's a middle school teacher at Polo Park middle school. Him and I, we wrote that together. So we got it proposed, and it's pending up at the state now, and that course right there dissects and talks about the history of structural and institutional racism in this country.
Wow, that is so interesting that you're doing these things.
Yeah.
And then the classes that y'all create, they're not just if the State Department of Education does accept them, they're not just taught in Palm Beach County, they're taught all across the state of Florida. They can be taught anywhere in the state of Florida. Any of those.
So like the history of Haiti right now, any school, middle or high school, can pick that up and offer that to their kids. Mm-hmm. And there's several other courses that I wrote that can be offered right now.
Mm-hmm. I have a question. Mm-hmm. How does a school, especially, I believe in the elementary school, getting this information, because
Absolutely.
The earlier the information is shared with the children, that is the more it's embedded in their minds, right?
Absolutely.
How does a school get the curriculum or get the courses that you're talking about?
As far as for elementary school,
Yeah.
they can't offer those courses, but we do have stuff that is very specific for elementary.
Right.
So we do develop elementary resources that our teachers can use and implement in the classroom. And I agree, the indoctrination process as on an adverse level starts at the very beginning. We get to see ourselves in a negative way from the very beginning.
Right.
So we need to reverse that and start really showing them the truth and showing our kids and making that connection of who they really are from pre-K. So we have pre-K through 5 resources that we provide for our teachers. In addition to, we work with the curriculum developers in elementary within the district to make sure that is included in there as well. But when it comes to elementary, it's not touchy because I don't call our stuff sensitive topics or controversial topics, but there's such a heavy aspect to our history, and there's some hard parts of it that we make sure that we build capacity with those teachers of what to introduce to those kids. I can't go in with a kindergarten class and talk about Jim Crow and racism and lynching. That's a little bit too much cognitively for
Right.
a 5 or 6 year old, and I would be mad if somebody tried to teach my daughter if I had a 5-year-old in the class. So what we do is we start introducing it and scaffolding it based on a matrix that was created back in 1994 by Debbie Range and people about what is appropriate at certain grade levels, and as the kids grow, then the more
infuse more
heavier topics about the racism and about some of the oppression that did occur throughout history, that I must point out is not our entire history.
Okay. How different is the infusion with African studies as compared to maybe Latin studies or the Holocaust?
First, I want to say I don't like to use the word infusion anymore.
Why not?
Transformation.
Okay.
All right, infusion means that you're going to keep something pre-existing and we're just going to add to it.
Okay.
So my thing is that you can't take a Eurocentric racist predicated on white supremacy curriculum and add us to it. We have to tear it all down and rebuild it that would naturally infuse
I love
within
that.
it.
Yeah.
So,
makes sense.
As far as how is it different, it's pretty much comparable because not only that we fight and advocate to make sure that the history of Black people is taught in our schools, but our brown students as well. Look at Palm Beach County. That's our largest subgroup here in Palm Beach County is our Latino Hispanic students. So their history is and their history intersects with ours. You're talking about Latin American history, all the African people who are brought through that. Their culture and their history intersects with us. So it's pretty comparable as far as the approach to that.
Okay, so when was gender added to y'all's office?
Back in 2012, I believe, before I got on. So it started off with just African and African American back in '94. Then eventually the other pieces were added to it,
Latino,
then the Holocaust.
The
Holocaust was added last year
because of what happened with that
with the situation
that principal.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, but gender was added for this whole LGBTQ,
It's
ABC, XYZ.
It's the LGBTQ parts of it, and also women falls into gender, and those are parts of our history as well.
What do you mean?
When it's
women movement,
because even within our own narrative of our history of the African diaspora, we need to recenter the voices and the contributions of our women.
Yes.
Because our women have done huge things that men have completely just marginalized. You're talking about slave insurrections and stuff like that.
Like, give me an example of that.
You talking about Nanny of the Maroons in Jamaica, for example. You're talking about of who's the leader of the Windward Maroons in the western part of the island of Jamaica. Carlotta of Cuba. When you fast forward into let's go back. Matter of fact, forget fast forward. Let's go back to the continent of Africa. When you talk about people like Queen Azinga, Queen Amanirenas, etc., and Queen Tai and all of these women, the Ya Asanteway, the Dahomey Amazons, and all of these women that did dope things in fast and forward. When you talk about the civil rights movement, where people like Joanne Robinson Gibson, whose name is not even really mentioned, who really started the Montgomery bus boycott.
Yeah.
But we give all credit to a man known as Dr. King, which is cool.
Right.
But we got to recenter the voices of our women, and even with LGBTQ, that there have been
XYZ.
People like Bayard Rustin, who was a gay Black man, who kind of took the back seat, who really organized the March on Washington, but because he was gay and Black and communist during that time, he had to kind of take the back seat.
Right.
With
A. Philip Randolph and those guys.
Yeah, exactly. Then you're talking about Langston Hughes and the James
Baldwin.
And even there's even some stuff with that Malcolm X in his past before he got married and stuff
Yeah,
like
they
that
said
as well.
that.
Yeah.
Somebody,
Yeah.
I've heard that.
Yeah, so our
got
people,
nervous on
because
that
our
one.
people are multifaceted.
Yeah, that's true.
We
Very
are,
true.
Yeah, so.
Now, we only got a few minutes left, Mr. Knowles, but tell us about the December 17th discussion that y'all are going to
Yes.
have, unpacking common myths and misperceptions.
Misperceptions, misconceptions, misunderstandings, misinterpretations
Okay.
of our history. That's something done in collab with the Coalition of Black Student Achievement,
Right.
which is probably one of the most viable organizations that advocate for Black children in Palm Beach County. And I collaborate with Dr. Deborah Robinson from District 7.
Yeah, and she is really into
she's
this
so dope.
She really is.
Yeah, she's so dope, and that's my auntie who cussed me out when I ain't quite on my job like I need to be.
And I'm glad you said cuss instead of curse. Cause
I'm black.
Okay.
I'm light skinned.
Light skin. Light skin.
When I'm black. Somebody told me, "Say you the most blackest light skinned person I know." But anyway.
All the light skinned people I know real black. All of them,
Hey,
including my mama.
Malcolm X, Huey P. Newton, and Adam Clayton Powers. Keep going. But anyway.
And my mama.
And your mama. But that's basically, we have this series of conversations, and the one that we're having on December 17th at 6 o'clock is unpacking those myths. So I'm going to discuss things about, our myths about slavery. When people say things like slave mentality, unpack how that's so erroneous. We're going to rip apart the Rosa Parks narrative that we've been told, and even the concept of religion when it comes to us. A lot of people say, religion was given us by the white man to control us, and I'm going to show how that's not true at all. And even when you talk about early Christianity and how it's a white man's religion, it's like, no, the early Christianity started in Northern Africa. Amongst Africans, Ethiopia was one of the first nations who established Christianity as an official religion of its country. You got so much stuff, in religion that we've contributed to, but we had this myth. And there's other parts that we'll be talking about. So I want to kind of just leave some breadcrumbs for people to actually show up and check us out.
All right. And again, you guys, it's going to be virtual. So you'd visit facebook.com/PBC, as in Palm Beach County, C, B like boy, S like Sam, A. PBC CBSA.
Coalition of Black Student Achievement, their Facebook page.
Thank you for saying that.
Yep, it'll be their Facebook page, and just go follow them and go on live, and we'll be live on December 17th at 6 o'clock.
And as we shut down, Mr. Knowles, let people know how they can reach you at the school district. God bless you.
Yeah, they can reach me by email. Brian, BRIAN .Knowles, KNOWLES. Whenever I say Knowles, I just say like Beyonce, and people they know how to spell it. So Brian.Knowles at palmbeachschools.org. And also, you can just reach me on my office phone, 707-1914. That's 561-707-1914. And I love to speak to the community and my people and collabing. You say I was a king of the diaspora, but there's people that know just as much as I do, and probably more, that we can all team up and build. And like, I'm a hip hop head, so Wu-Tang used to say, "Come together like Voltron." Was come together like Voltron and make some changes.
You're a New York boy. So. That's right. Come together like Voltron. I love this. I love it. You got like 30 seconds, man. You got 30 seconds. No, 15 seconds. Close it out, Marion.
Well, and ladies and gentlemen, with those 15 seconds, thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Mr. Brian Knowles of the Office of African American, Latino, Holocaust and Gender Studies.
That's it.
Thank y'all. Peace.
Love
Peace.
it. Love it.